We are joined by Andrew.
Hello, everyone.
And Jonathan.
Good evening, everyone.
That was well rehearsed.
So, yes, welcome to This Is Why We Dig. This is the second stream that we are doing this year, focusing on gardening. Given everything that's happened, of course, gardening is going to contribute to surviving the food shortages that are coming. So it's really important that we focus on that. So handing over to the lads now for hopefully something very informative, very useful advice for you. Over to you, lads.
All right. Hello, everybody. So it's getting to spring now, ready to start planting everything. So, Jonathan, since we're all raring to go, what have you done in the garden recently?
Recently, I've reset my garden. I've taken down an old tree that had an infection, so I could get more sunlight into the garden, so I can make that into a growing area. I've had the children in the greenhouse yesterday, and we were planting broad beans, leeks, giant Swiss chard, and shallots. And that's where I am. I'm up to at the moment.
Yeah, it sounds like you've done a lot.
No, it's. I've got to get started because time is of the essence. Because if you don't start now, you won't be prepared for spring.
Yeah. All right. I've just got started today. I've had some things that really needed doing. I got a what's it, peace lily that has been clinging to life. I mean, it's the compost has been just washing away as I've been watering it, and I've been watering it badly. I could see the roots. It was dreadful. I've had it for years.
Yeah,
and it's never flowered. I actually had to Google to see what the flowers were meant to look like.
oh yeah, they're a bit like an arum lily, but smaller. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're really pretty little flowers. Yeah,
like little spades.
Yeah. Oh, my father was terrible. He would never let a lily into the house. Oh, Swiss chard.
I brought that up when it was relevant about 15 minutes ago. Someone was a little slow on the uptake.
I'm sorry, I was on the YouTube chat making Will one of our moderators. I do apologise.
Peace lily.
Yes, these are lilies, everyone. Can you tell? Look at the beautiful green petals. Sorry about that, chaps.
By the way, everybody, that is rainbow chard.
Very colourful chard at that.
It is. And it doesn't make any difference to the taste. They all taste the same, roughly.
All right.
When do you pick them?
As soon as they're within about a foot and a half, about a foot tall, roughly, you can start harvesting. And you break them away from the bottom.
Susie says, I was always told to keep them away from too much humidity, and the first time it flowered, it was in the bathroom. Are we talking about lilies here or chard? Just so we're clear, because I'm playing catch up a little bit. Sorry.
Lily.
Okay, just clarifying. Yeah. Hey, look, I'm here for comedy effect. What do you want?
Could you pull up the peace lily so people can have a look at the flowers?
I can indeed.
Thank you, Susie. Clarifying that.
Yeah, mine got to the stage where the roots were actually coming out of the bottom, so I've repotted that today, and it looks
one
a lot
of those.
better. Yeah.
Oh, my nan had one of those for years. I don't know if it was the same one. It's a plant to me. It may well have been, but yeah, I never knew that.
Oh, they're beautiful.
They are.
Well, hopefully, I'll get some flowers this year.
Hopefully, so.
I'll take some pictures of it and post it on Discord.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, so I've done that. I've, my little basil and parsley. I've added some more soil to that and some more compost. Put a bit of vermiculite on it and fed them with liquid seaweed. What?
No, well done. That's what you need. Yeah. Did you sort of dilute it quite a lot?
Oh yeah, yeah. You looked in the instructions at the back, and it said 15 milliliters to I think it was 4.5 liters of water.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I didn't plan on using 4.5 liters of water for these tiny things. So. Well, yeah, the basil seemed to be doing all right.
Yeah, it looks the photos that you've put on Discord look amazing, and they're not far away from. You may want to take the tips out, so they actually produce side shoots, so they get bigger and bulkier.
So what do I actually do? Do I cut off the head? Cut off the
just
true
pinch.
roots?
Yeah, just pinch with your nails. Just pinch the very top out. The last sort of two out the top, and then you'll get side shoots, which encourage a stronger stem and more growth.
All right, I'll have to give that a try. I mean, these ones I'm just experimenting with because I've got other seeds from the pack. So, and the parsley were looking a bit worse for wear. The first leaves, the cotyledons, they were drooping and going yellow. Very odd, but so that really needed some work. And even the roots, some of the compost have subsided. They've like compressed, and then the roots were showing. So it really needed some work.
Yeah. No, it looks okay. It looks okay. As soon as you get some nicer weather, you can start putting them outside, and they'll do much better being outside.
All right. Well, I'll have to try the parsley and the basil. I don't think I've ever tried basil, or if I have, it's been mixed into food.
Oh, I think I put on Discord. My favourite is mozzarella and tomatoes. You slice them and you layer them over each other with a bit of drizzle of oil.
Right. I'll have to try that. They actually smell basil, but I don't know if they meant to smell as they do. So I've never smelt it before. So.
Oh no, they're supposed to be very strong, pungent. Yeah, really strong.
It's not unpleasant, so that's a positive.
Oh, no. My favorite is the Greek one, which is like a very tight little. It grows like a little tight ball, and very very tiny little leaves. It's even stronger than the big leaf one.
Yeah.
The one I bought this year from the Real Seed Company is the giant basil. It's called the mammoth basil. It's humongous leaves. So I'm waiting to see what that looks like when it comes up.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
I've never seen Greek basil before. I put it on screen. That looks really awesome.
Yeah, they're nice little compact, tight, and because they've got so much flavour, they're brilliant for cooking. Really good for cooking.
Is it easier to grow than normal basil?
Oh, much, much easier. Yes, so much easier.
I might give this a go. For some reason, for whatever reason, my family cannot grow basil. Like my nan can't grow it. I can't grow it. My mother couldn't grow it. My dad can't grow it. I don't know what we do to the damn stuff, but I'll give this a go.
Yeah, that is, if for a beginner, that is a brilliant basil to go with because it just stays in a nice tight little ball like that one in the pot there. It's really, it is really a useful little plant.
Yeah, I think the one that I've got is Genovese. I think that's what it said on the little packet. So, yeah.
Susie agrees basil is a challenge, she says. That looks like a little hedge. That's absolutely adorable.
Yeah, it's a bit like a box.
It's a little box hedge. Yeah.
It's very similar leaf when you look at it when you've grown it. And you think, is that or is it not? Oh, hang on a minute.
I think basil.
Sorry. Go on. Sorry.
No, go on.
I was just going to say, in answer to Susie, so the chaps have just said basil's a bit awkward to grow, but Jonathan highly recommends this Greek basil, so that might be a way for you to get round it. Certainly worth a try if you can get the seeds from anywhere.
Oh yeah, you can get them in most you can get them online anywhere. Mostly anywhere you can find them online. Supermarkets sometimes hold them. And you do get them. You do find them in your local garden centre. Very, very easy to find.
There you go, Susie. Hopefully no more challenges with basil for you. Thank you for that, Jonathan.
And the final thing I've done is put a bit of compost on my Christmas cactus because it was starting to drain away as I watered it, and then put another layer of gravel on, and it's really freshened it up. Hopefully I get some more flowers. It didn't flower last year, but I'm hoping it rectifies that this year.
Yeah, Ragnar, Lidl's are doing a lot of seeds at the moment.
Didn't you mention something, Jonathan, about F1 seed you should be looking for?
Yeah, you don't want to take, especially for food. It's all right for flowers if you're growing them in your garden, just normal flowers. But F1s you don't want as your vegetables because they're terminator seeds. You'll grow them this year, then the following year, when you try to save the seed, it won't grow, which is a shame.
Okay.
Yeah,
Timmy's asking, are they heritage?
Are what heritage?
I think he's talking about the F1 seeds.
F1 seeds are not heritage. No, they're hybrids. They're a hybrid seed. Sometimes they're crossed with another species, or they're slightly genetically changed, especially with things like sweet corn. Everyone's heard of Monsanto and the problems that they have with their seeds, which are all genetically modified.
Right.
Most sweet corn you buy in the shop these days are genetically modified.
My bad. Timmy says he was talking about the Lidl seeds. Sorry.
Ah, right.
Are they heritage?
No, they won't be heritage. They'll just be box standard seeds.
Okay, sorry to interrupt
What
you.
exactly is the difference between a bog standard seed and a heritage seed?
Heritage seeds are ones that have been passed down for generations and generations and generations. And the other one's just a box standard seed is basically ones that are everybody uses, but it isn't one that's been passed down from an original root stock.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone want to read out this from Johnny, not Pal?
Go on, I'll let you do it.
I gave my mate a book on how to grow basil. He said he didn't have the time to read it.
Keep them coming. We love these. Thank you.
Yeah, I've heard a few things like that.
Yeah, seeds, because of the terminator seeds, they will become a currency eventually. If you can't get heritage seeds, try to go for trusted seeds from all sorts of, like a trusted, like what the farmer would use for a trusted Brussels sprouts and so on and so forth. Because they won't use GM or anything else, mostly.
If they are F1 seeds, do they have to put it on the label that they are?
Not if it's the product. So, like a butternut squash, let's say, for instance, they won't put it on that it is an F1. You'll only find out if you try to grow the seeds from it the following year.
But if you're buying the packet of seeds, they
yes, on the packet they do by law. Yeah.
Good stuff.
And it's always in a block capitals, so it'll be an F and a 1 next to each other.
So basically, don't try and cheat. It's always better to buy the seeds to be sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
This is what Joe found out. There's an example of it. That's what Joe found out last year when she tried to grow the
potatoes.
Was it potatoes, wasn't it?
And the tomatoes, actually. I tried to grow cherry tomatoes that I'd bought from a supermarket that I'm not going to give any publicity to. And I got nothing from them. But I bought a pack of heritage seeds, only 5 tomato seeds, and I got about 200 seeds from them. So they're going to be replanted this year, and the excess is going to be given to my neighbours as Christmas presents for next spring.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So what are you planning on doing on the garden next?
What, myself?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm planning on doing. I'm waiting for my next order to come. I spent a fortune this year. I think it's my total this year so far. It's come up to about £150 on seeds.
Flipping heck.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, I know, but then I will get the money back eventually. Because
You feeding an army?
No, I've got. The thing is, I'm like I've said to you before. I've got my back garden, half of my back garden. I've also got an allotment, and I'm still looking into taking over the allotment next door to me, solely so I can plant seeds in there, or have plants in there for the community, so I can give those back freely to the community.
That's fantastic.
That's such a great idea.
I did see a call to action.
Is Jordan paying you, Hasdak? He's asking what to grow timetable would be great. It just so happens, here's one we prepared earlier.
We do indeed have one, along with many, many other things on the WRT library. It is on, well, it's the second link at the moment, the WRT food planting timetable. I'm also going to put the link to that directly into chat.
Oh, that went today live. Hurrah!
I know, it started doing that yesterday. That will take you straight to the download. Unfortunately, you can't open it up in Chrome or any browser, which is a bit of a pain, but such is life. I suppose I could export it into a PDF format as well, actually.
But for now, if you want to download it, you probably would be better off having a download. And if you have the ability to print it, it might be worth setting up a print for each, let's say, growing season. So if you've got your March growing, it might be worth opening up all your March plants and printing that. And then
part of the reason why I
put it up,
a part of the reason why I put it up as a spreadsheet rather than a PDF is so people can edit it. So people can just download it and then put in whatever they want. Let's say, for example, somebody has a particular hatred for beetroots and they have a particular love for a different type of vegetable. They can delete beetroot from its existence and never be perturbed by it ever again. And then put in the lovely vegetable that they want to replace it with.
I'm growing beetroot this year.
God damn it.
So there you go, Hasdak. Enjoy the planting schedule. This is all Jordan's hard work. And he did spend a lot of time making this. So, yes, I hope you find it useful. This is very kind from Monty. Titchmarsh got nothing on this. Thank you. That's high praise indeed. Ragnar says, are seeds from a farm shop better than the little ones?
Yes.
You've obviously answered that to some degree, but yeah.
Yes, generally. Yeah, generally.
DJ Mark says, did you know tomatoes are related to marijuana?
Yes, and they're also related to elm trees as well.
I eat a lot of tomatoes, that's all I'm saying. Johnny Not Powell says, what is the best way to store the seeds?
Dry a paper bag. Once you've dried them right out, a paper bag, and then seal them in a container and put them somewhere dryish. Don't because they don't want to over dry. You don't want to dry them right out. Or you can, especially with certain varieties, you can put them in the fridge or in the freezer because some need to have that dormant period when they're frozen.
What would be an example of that?
Brassica family. Anything in the Brassica family. A lot of seeds which are like hard-shelled seeds, so apples, but you wouldn't want to grow apples from a seed from an apple anyway because it never runs a true seed. It always ends up different to the parent plant. I can't think of one off the top of my head, actually.
So you sent us a list of Brassica plants. You said brown mustard, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, kale, turnip, horseradish and radish would be the ones that you can freeze or refrigerate.
Refrigerate. Most of them all of those you can refrigerate. Some of those you would have to freeze. I don't tend to do the freeze inside of it. I tend to do the paper bag and put them into a container, sealed container, and put them in the storage, which is like a cool.
That's what I did with
cool
my
base.
tomatoes. Yeah, I know there's going to be another question, so I may as well ask it now before I hand it back. How long do the seeds last once they've been cleaned thoroughly and stored?
Depending how you store them, they can last between. Well, they can last indefinitely, because this has been proven with tomato seeds that they've pulled out of the pyramids, or from that area, where they've had lots and lots of seeds, tomato seeds, and they've regrown them, and they've been there for 4,000 years or more, and they still grow.
Excellent, thank you. Take care, DJ Mark. He's just got a job. It's one of those things. Right, Blood and Braces, sir, has a question that's not quite related to gardening. I don't know if anyone can answer this. Are you just talking about fish, Blood and Braces, sir, or are you talking about any kind of meat?
Any fresh fish, I believe, would smoke.
Or any meat.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any meat you can't smoke. I'm pretty certain any meat can be smoked.
Yeah, all meat can smoke.
Yeah, all meat, all cheese. Well, all cheese. Yeah. No, that's not quite correct.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to do it with camembert.
That was what I was thinking.
It might go a bit.
Might melt a bit too much on you.
Oh, anyway, the resident chef is in the house. There you go. That can answer your question. Thanks, David, as always. Okay, back to you, lads.
Okay. So yeah, we're on to what we're doing. So have you got any plants that need any seeds that need sowing?
Yeah, this year I'm sowing a vast amount of seeds. So, and I say a vast amount of seeds. This year I've got broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, two types of cauliflower, which is the Italian version, which looks like little spirals, green spirals. And then I've got kale, I've got radishes, I've got parsnips, carrots, beetroot, broad beans, potatoes, garlic. I'm going to try and become close to self-sufficient with vegetables this year.
Nice.
And then I can spend all that extra cash I have in the home on nice, expensive meat from the butchers. Oh, that's the Italian.
That is weird.
Yeah, it's weird looking stuff. It tastes lovely. It's got a real nutty taste to it.
I've seen this. I've never. I don't even know where I've seen this. It was bloody weird.
No, it's the most amazingly tasty cauliflower. Really, really nice. It's always geometrically sort of shaped.
What radishes are you going to be growing?
Oh, I've got mixed topped. So they come out as I've got white, and I've got white and red topped and red. So it's just so it looks a bit colourful. So I like just growing veg, but you want it to look interesting as well as just boring green or red or orange, or so mix it up a bit.
Yeah. I've got. Are you gonna? Do you want to read that one out, Joe?
Yes, this one's probably for you, Andrew. So Ragnar's asking about mushrooms. You can apparently grow them in a dark room or loft space in the house. I'm going to pass that to you, Andrew.
Well, I haven't tried it, but from my overview, yes, you can grow them in a dark area, and you just got to keep them moist. But you've got to have that humidity. So if you're having problems with them just plonking them in the corner of a room, you might want to build a little sort of humidified box. In the overview, it does touch on that. If you can post that.
I've just done
but
it.
Yeah, I'd love to see somebody actually grow some mushrooms and post it in the Discord. That'd be fascinating to look at.
I would as well. For some reason, we've spoken about this a number of times. Lots and lots of people really responded to it on all of the social media platforms we put it out on. I think it's something that interests a lot of people, but not. For some reason, not many people are actually doing anything with it, and I'm one of them. It's something that's on why.
Yeah, because you can put those logs with them in. I've seen those kits as well as the your usual box with the soil, like a soil stuff in that mushrooms just grow out of. I've never gone down that path though.
And Johnny Not Pallard's asking, do you have any advice on planting gardens with so low sunlight? I saw a page full of tips how to use aluminium foil to reflect the sunlight, but I don't know if that's harmful or not to the plants. Do any of you have any ideas about that?
Yeah, there is a lot of different varieties you can use. Generally, you'd have to Google that one, because I don't know. I'm fairly good, but I don't know everything. Yeah, there would be specific plants that you could use for that. Maybe I'll send you a link somewhere, John.
Fantastic. And Ian says, there's a couple of comments here from Ian. I'll read out the first two and I'll pull up the last one. He was talking about growing in dark spaces. And the last comment is regarding mushrooms, by the sounds of it. Plethora of dark areas. Here he says, I grew mine in a bag with a cube and an empty wardrobe. I'm not posting them publicly though, sorry. You don't need to post your pictures, don't worry. There you go.
Okay, I'm going to answer this, considering nobody else wants to, and I'm going to say it's because of control of what you end up with, and because you can grow it on demand. You're not just finding it randomly.
Well, didn't you mention there are some plants that must be grown in pots, otherwise they'll take over the garden?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure blackberries is one of those.
Yeah, it's your common bramble, isn't it? So it'll get even though you might have it in a pot, it will bury its roots down and into the ground anywhere near itself, and it will start disappearing across the garden. It's awful stuff. Yeah, you wouldn't want to grow chives in the garden because they take over, and you'll find them in your grass.
Which is what has happened to me.
Yeah. And you'll have chive grass instead of proper grass.
Oh, I don't have chive grass. I have chive mint.
Oh yeah, mint's another one. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, keep it into a container, and always keep it in a container. Don't let it out of the container because it will go rampant across the garden.
It did go rampant, but it also got really, really big. So it's like, I'll take that. I'll eat it. I don't mind.
Yeah. It's all right when you have stuff like calamar. That's fine because you can have a calamar lawn. That's fine. But you don't want a mint lawn or a chive lawn.
I read that they used to have dandelion lawns.
Yeah.
So that is actual fact. That's not just someone lying on the internet.
No, that is true. Yeah, that is true.
I've actually got a fact to add to this conversation. Amazingly,
Ooh.
I know. As someone who owns a cat or owned a cat, mint is part of catnip is part of the mint family. If you have mint go nuts all over your garden, don't be surprised if you don't get all the neighbourhood cats just spazzing out on your lawn.
Yeah.
So just be aware of that because they get a little bit crazy when they smell mint as well as catnip.
Yeah.
See, they like mint just as much as I do, is what you're saying.
Yeah, before I had a dog, I used to grow mint in the pots in my back garden. And I would always end up with loads of cats until I worked out, they're coming for the mint. And they did, like you said, Joe, they do. They just spaz out. They like roll around as though they're in like some sort of ecstasy. It's weird.
Yeah, it's like
I've
it's
seen a
drug
stoat
for
do
them.
that in my rosemary.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I was on the phone to you. I was trying to get a picture of it, and the little bugger wouldn't sit still long enough for me to do it.
Oh God, Philomena's off on one. Here we go. Mint nip inspectors. She's gone past mint arrows now.
Oh, you can get a chocolate smelling mint as well.
No, don't tell
Yes.
Philomena.
Yes. Yeah.
Never
My
hear the
mother
end of
used
it.
to grow that.
What's it called? I want
Chocolate mint.
Yeah. It's really nice.
It is. It's really bloody good.
Philomena, she's on the case. That's your project for this summer, my dear. Make your garden
Okay.
smell like chocolate.
Okay, there's a slightly purplish tint to it.
Wow, that's amazing. It looks amazing too.
The lady that I do her garden for, she's got that in her garden, and I'm always taking a sprig of it whenever I'm down there.
Right, before I hand back to Andrew, I've got one more question, which I think would be for you, Jonathan. Do you know anything about fig trees?
Fig trees, yeah.
Right, have a
If you're
question.
gone,
Johnny Dipp is asking if you would know about fig trees. He has one that's been producing big, beautiful, amazing figs for years, and it just stopped. He tried to separate it to start a new one, but is there a second part to this, or are you just so disappointed that you stopped? No, there's a second part. It just won't take for some reason. Any advice he could give me? Am I doing something wrong? Over to you.
throw it away and start again. Honestly, yeah. If it's not taking, it's not going to take. Unless you can take a graft cutting or a cutting from it. No. Your best bet is to scrap it and start again. Unfortunately.
Is there any reason that happened, or is it just the plant just decided it wasn't going to fruit anymore?
Yeah, it can be a number of things, and of course, I could say, because I can't see the plant, I can't tell you exactly what has gone wrong there. So, and without any pictures, I can't tell you much more than that. But I'd throw it away and start again because it sounds like it might have a disease.
Yeah, so the answer is no one has the answer, but I don't know if you want to try and send in a picture, Johnny, maybe put it up on the Discord, it might help. But aside from that, that's probably not the answer you wanted.
No, sorry.
But at least it will save you wasting any further time on it if you start with a new one, possibly. Okay, right, handing back to you lads now.
All right. What I'm planning on doing tomorrow is speaking of peppermint, I've got some peppermint that I'd like to start off. I'm going to be doing it from seed. So I've always wanted to grow my own peppermint and then actually make peppermint tea out of it.
Oh, nice.
So I'm looking forward to actually trying that. And also chili peppers. I've got some, I think they're called Prairie Fire. And they're 8 out of 10 in the spicy meter. So, so I might have over-egged it there.
Yeah, just be careful when you're eating them.
The world famous patented WRT spicy meter. There is a past Scoville.
Oh, chitin potatoes.
Yeah, so this is from Dennis, who says, how long do my chitin potatoes need to be?
What, the length of the chip? Well, depending how a good sort of inch length. As they sprout, it should be about an inch, and then very nice and deep. Very nice.
Can you do that with all the potatoes from the plant, or is it special potatoes?
No, you can do it from the crop that you saved from last year.
Also, what you can do is just set aside one particularly healthy plant that did particularly well out of your batch, and then save all those potatoes and then grow them on next year.
Yeah, that's exactly what the farmer does every year. Exactly what the farmer does every year, or food producers do every year. They select the best out of that crop, set them aside for the following year, and then hey ho, they've got a better crop for the following year.
Another joke from Johnny, not Powell. Food scientists have finally managed to remove the mint flavour from gum. The experiment was a complete success. In response to you, Andrew, David says, be careful using the toilet after chopping chilies, just saying.
Yeah.
Oh, I've made that mistake. It didn't end well. Oh.
Dennis has responded, Jonathan, by saying only an inch to plant proper.
Pardon?
Talking about
right, yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, about an inch. You don't want it too much more than an inch. But if they just go over that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really make much difference. It really doesn't. But if they're sprouting madly, then bury them deeper. The deeper, the better, personally, because they will start bolting. And because we're not out of the frost period yet, you don't want them sprouting out above the ground and then catching the frost with the tips, because that'll knock them back a bit far.
I have to put this one up. A friend of mine lost his job in the mint factory. His wife went absolutely mental. Oh, Johnny, not Powell. You have a special place in our hearts. I promise. This is so good. Anyway, sorry for the interruption again. Back to you.
Well, on those 3 little pots that I've got that you showed earlier from that little herb pack, one of them is chives, and I've decided I'm going to eat them, and I'm going to start another batch of chives. So that's one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to use a bigger pot, the pot that actually the peace lily was in, and I'm going to try that out. So that'll be interesting to see if it works. And I'm going to get a lot more dense, like that one there in that pot. I want it to look like that.
like thick grass.
Yeah.
What I wouldn't do, I wouldn't let it flower, because
All right.
once it flowers, it all becomes a bit separate and a bit gangly and weird looking. And also in those flower heads, if they all get pollinated, each of those little black seeds would turn into another plant. And if they drop on the floor outside, if they fall in the cracks of the paving or into the grass or anywhere else, off they go. It only takes one and they're gone.
If you were going to try and get seeds from them, what would you do to stop that from happening? Would you put them on a pot and then put that on a tarpaulin, or would you put a bag over them when they get to this sort of stage, or a bit later?
Yeah, just as the flower starts to fade, I'd put a paper bag with a rubber band around the bottom. If you see what I mean, a small paper bag.
Yeah, so you put it
the
over
ones that
the
you
top
have
of
in
the
a
flowers, basically.
Yeah, the same size as what you would have in a little. Remember the sweet bags that you used to have, little white paper bag ones.
Mm-hmm.
Put them over the top and catch the seeds before they start shooting out all over the place.
Another thing I'm going to try is radishes. I've from that Chilton Seeds company that you recommended.
Yeah,
I got some French breakfast, which are very odd-looking things. I don't know if you want to pull that up, Jordan. French breakfast radishes. Yep. And I got some sparklers as well.
Sparklers.
Yeah,
I've never heard of those.
and it's I think sparklers they're like the normal orb, and then they've got like a white part as well.
Ooh, they do. This is far more interesting than the French nonsense.
They look so pretty. They'd be lovely on a plate.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they're nice. Yeah.
So,
They look really nice. The ones that I've got are a mix of something similar to that, but I've got those ones. I've got the white ones, and I've got just the top red. So the very tip of the top is red. So they're a mixture.
Well,
Can you eat the radish tops?
Yeah, you can as a salad.
that's what the microgreens are, really. It's the early version of that.
It's a bit like watercress to taste.
So they're peppery.
Yeah.
It's something that my nan always complains about. You buy vegetables these days, the tops cut off them. Just seeing these made me wonder, because I've never really thought about these as a full-grown plant.
Same as beetroot.
Oh no, not beetroot.
I've got some beetroot ones. If you type in burpees golden.
Oh, they're orange. Are they orangey coloured or not?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. What's with it with beetroot? Why don't you like beetroot, Joe? Come
I
on.
hate them so much.
I love it. I love it with cheese and a sandwich. It's lovely. With a bit of salt and pepper, a bit of vinegar.
I do agree that they look nice. That you can't look at this and say that doesn't look pleasant. It's just, I don't know, they taste like dirt.
How about the worst then? How about the worst? Worst is got to be turnips. I hate turnips, and that's a very similar vegetable.
I don't know, turnips taste... I don't know what they taste of. I'm not a fan of them either.
They're foul.
I blame my mother for that, because she used to eat turnips raw like an apple.
Oh,
I know.
Oh.
I don't get it either. Her mother does the same. Like, Nan, please stop that.
I had a friend who was pregnant once and ate onions like an apple.
Oh, no.
oh.
That baby must have been like, whoa.
That baby must have been mega French.
Oh no! The worst I've ever come across is a guy I used to work. When I used to work with my dad years and years and years and years ago, bless him. There was a guy on the site with us, and he used to eat garlic like apples. So he'd eat a clove of garlic just like an apple. Oh,
That's far too much.
just it's horrible. It just honked.
By the way, you guys are starting to fight in the chat. Beetroot wars are on. People, they tend to be the Marmite, don't they? People either love them or hate them.
Yeah.
They do look amazing.
They
I'll
do.
give you
This
that.
is why I don't. This is why I don't like them, because they look perfectly pleasant, but then they just taste like dirt. It's the worst betrayal mankind's ever known.
Eat onions like apples. Oh no. Oh, turnips are nice. No, they're not. Yeah, that's true.
Onionist.
Yeah, look, people are defending these things now. Maybe I like dirt, says Johnny.
Yeah.
If you like eating dirt, you go ahead. There's plenty of it.
But there's nothing like a real earthy potato. It's nice. My missus hates earthy potatoes. It's because, I don't want that. You can eat that. I don't like that.
Here's my problem with beetroot, and it's in that picture. That is supposed to be a beetroot salad. It's all... Like, salad is supposed to have
So I
different
was
colours.
muted. That beetroot salad there.
That's not so bad.
No. Yeah, if you add in a couple of the other colours, as Andrew just said, he's got an orange one going.
Yeah, I think if it's colourful and it looks fresh and enticing, but that first bowl of beetroot just looked like, I don't know.
A bowl of mince.
Yeah, essentially.
There you go. If you add some of them in and not just the normal pitch red one that you see on the left there.
Ooh, they're pretty.
That one with the spirals of purple and white, I think it's called Chiogia. Got some of that as well.
Looks like onions. Looks like a red onion sliced.
I'm hoping all these variations taste different. And they're not just aesthetically different.
Fearless Bear says beetroot is very sweet if you bake it.
Mm.
And I says it's so good for your blood.
That's true. You should have a...
I do agree.
Go on. Sorry.
I was going to say, I do agree the sweeter if you roast it.
Yeah. But you should. It's like all these things. You should have a spectrum of colours of food. You shouldn't just have the bland, boring colours. You should have all different colours to eat because they all hold different minerals and so on and so forth.
Yes, the nutritional benefits of we hate promoting the rainbow. The nutritional benefits of a rainbow dish, as you say, because they all have different properties, don't they? And they work better together rather than just an overdose on one thing. They look amazing. I will say I'm quite impressed with those.
Well, to round it all off, I'm going to be trying some salad leaves. I've got some normal ones, like a mixture of the normal lettuce, and then I've got some oriental ones. So that'd be interesting. If I can grow them and then grow the radishes as well, ideally timed right, I'll try and make a ploughman's lunch out of it.
Ooh.
I really hope that works.
So do I.
Oh, we've gone back to turnips.
Susie mentioned spiralizers. What do you think? This is more of a girly thing, in my opinion. What do you lads think about this food spiralizing craze that took off recently?
The hell is that? I'm having to Google this 1 second.
It's like a massive pencil sharpener. So you get it's like when you peel an apple without breaking the skin.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, my mum's got one of those. She's even used it a couple of times as well.
That's the best part of eating an apple, though, just cutting the skin off.
No, you don't cut the skin off.
No. You eat the skin. You eat the skin. Yeah. I'm just saying you have to spiral around. It's fun. It's interesting.
Yeah, I must say I like the crunch of an apple. It's got to be a crunch.
As you can see, the trend has just gone crazy. Absolutely crazy. There's loads of different plates, and it's just a massive pencil sharpener, in my opinion. But I don't know. It just looks messy to me.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of that.
It's like weird spaghetti.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. It's another fad. I think people have probably spent a fortune on these machines. Probably used them once and thought, nah, it's too much effort. I could have just sliced that cucumber and eaten it in like 10 seconds.
Well, it's just more washing up, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It just makes your plate, I suppose, look more full, but it's the same amount of food. It's just, spread over a larger area. It's no more filling.
Talking of spaghetti.
We go.
Spaghetti squash. Importantly, when is a good time to be planting squash?
Not for another month or so. So the back end of March, April.
Good. That means everyone has plenty of time.
So that's ready for your summer squashes.
Johnny Dip is asking about yucca or yucca. I know that's a plant. I know nothing else about it. He says, what the hell is that? Looks like a little log for starting a fire or something.
No, he's lost me there.
That's like a proper little tree.
Yeah.
When I Googled it and I saw yucca root, I thought, oh, maybe this is some sort of edible plant I've never heard of before. I don't know.
Oh, like a sweet potato. Yeah.
Oh, is this that stuff that they have in Africa and then they make it into that weird grey paste?
I think so.
Oh, yeah. I can understand why they're a famine, let me tell you.
I believe we've all upset Susie. Apologies, Susie. We're trying to move away from consumerism and there's nothing wrong with a chopping board and a knife, in my opinion. Sorry for not being girly enough for the girls.
Yeah, that
Willis.
Go on.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say they use that a lot in Asia, and also they use it in places like Jamaica as well.
Willis said it's a bit like a potato, but he doesn't really like it.
No, I'd rather have sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are nice.
Sweet potatoes are wonderful. Okay, what the hell is this?
Looks like sliced fish.
cassava root. That's a plant. It does look like fish.
I don't like this at all.
You're welcome, Susie. Enjoy. Johnny O'Connell's asking, was that a yam?
Cool.
Is that what that is? Is a yam a sweet potato? Maybe some of our Americans can answer that. What is a yam?
More or less the
Is
same
that essentially
thing,
a sweet potato? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, now Timmy's saying it looks like pickled ginger to me. I'm so confused.
The chef has answered. He has said no. A yam is not a sweet potato.
Oh, the chat is right. I'd finally got there. Yay!
Jess doesn't like sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes are wonderful.
Yeah. I put them in my special mash for the kids every Sunday.
Right.
I like this arrangement. So we're talking about plants, and then we can go and Google them and look them up and see who can cook with them. Because I think that's what's going to make people actually take this stuff up.
Yes. Get to people through their stomachs. It's always worked historically.
Exactly, because you're not going to be able to buy things such as the weird beetroot varieties and things like that out of places like Tesco and Sainsbury's and Lidl and whoever else. You're going to have to grow them yourself, and if you can see them, but in ways that you can actually use them, then that's fantastic.
Yeah, some of these things will be added to our little project that we've got going on. More to be revealed about that later. Let's have a look. Jess says, sorry, sweet potato is gross. I've never had it myself. Hasdak loves a yam yam. Or I love with a yam yam. I'm not quite sure. Oh, I live with a yam yam. Okay. I should have read the second comment before I said that. Will says yams are little like sweet potatoes, but a lot worse from what I've heard. I would have thought as an American you'd be a yam expert. I thought this was an American thing. Linda says sweet potatoes are delicious. Hello, break the silence. All right, let's see if there's anything else about this before we move on. There you go. No more pizza and cookies. There are lots of naturally growing things that we could start, even if you replace one thing. But it all starts with gardening. It all starts with growing your own. One thing at a time. And don't feel overwhelmed by all of this information. Take notes and take what you will from it and use what works for you and your family. On to parsnips. Johnny Not Powell suggesting roast parsnips.
Oh, yeah, my favourite. Absolutely.
Oh, same here. I love them. Oh, Joe hates them.
Absolutely awful.
Oh, no. How do you not?
They smell like feet.
They do not smell like feet.
No.
They do when they're baking.
No, you just add a bit of honey with them.
Yeah, exactly. Some honey, a bit of parmesan on top as well, maybe.
Maybe I can maybe I can marinate them in honey so this feet smell gets trapped inside.
That you're on about feet smell. They taste lovely. They smell lovely.
Maybe I've just bought some dodgy ones, but they smelled like feet.
I think what didn't help you is you didn't cut the core out.
Well, I don't normally make them. I made them for someone else. And they didn't give me any instructions. I just cut them up and put them in a roasting tray.
Oh, I always leave the core in.
Timmy suggested, jumping up the chat, you mentioned honey and whole grain mustard, he said. I'm sure that's what you said to me before, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Honey and mustard with them.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Daffyd says Jerusalem artichokes grow almost wild on the subject of root veg.
Yeah, I've got gardoons growing. So that's the giant Scottish thistle, which is, I mean, they're huge. They're about 8 foot tall. So it's a bit like a Jerusalem artichoke. And you can eat the seed heads on those as well. They are amazing.
So going back to growing then, let's have a quick recap. So what would you say for anyone in the chat asking, thinking to plant now? And this is for Andrew and Jonathan. What would you suggest people start with if they're not really confident? And I'm assuming most people are either in Britain or the States or Australia, English-speaking countries. So bear in mind your own climate and temperatures. But what would you suggest people start with generally? What would be the basics?
The most simplest things to grow. Depending how what you have. Some people don't have a garden, but they might have a balcony. If they don't have a balcony, they might have a window ledge. So it'd be down to what space you have and what you can do. So if you have land, then it's open to most things. If you've got a balcony, you're still open to most things. But if you've only got a windowsill, you can still grow carrots. You can still grow some things. You just have to think, well, I can only grow so much in a little pot on a windowsill. But you can still grow it. It doesn't matter where you grow, what you can grow. You can grow it anywhere you like, and you can grow anything you like, roughly. And you can't grow these gardoons, obviously, in your house because they grow to about 8 foot tall. But yeah, you could grow stuff like, especially if you're doing indoors, you can grow peppers, you can grow tomatoes, you can grow cucumbers, basil like Andrew's growing. But if you've got land, then you can go down the paths of potatoes. If you've got a balcony, you can still do the bags of potatoes, which is always a good idea. I'm trying to think of anything else. If you've got land, you can do endless amounts of things. This year, I think I've got so much going on; it's unbelievable. I've got leeks, garlic, I've got kale, broad beans, onions, shallots, beetroot, potatoes. Oh, it's endless. What would you suggest, Andrew?
Well, I'm just trying things out at the moment. I'm learning. The chives seem to go all right. So in a bigger pot, we'll see if they work. Hopefully they do. And yeah, I'll get back to everyone on that. I think the best thing to do is just try different things out.
Yeah, and it's experimental. I mean, I don't always get it right, but it's trial and error sometimes, especially with certain new varieties, because some can be a bit temperamental, but most of them are fine. This time of year, you should be looking at your Brassica family, so like your cabbages, your cauliflowers, your broccoli, kale, that's what.
Do you mean for planting or harvesting?
Planting. Well, if you'd have planted them in late autumn, you could be harvesting them now. You could actually be eating them now. With stuff like kale, that will come back year after year after year. And
I didn't know.
Yeah, and they're biannual, and they're very hardy. Most of them don't suffer with insect problems, so you won't get slugs and flies and stuff like that on them. So they're a really good one to grow. So you can cut it right down to the ground and let it regrow again and again. I've got sorrel, which I use for salad, which is quite a hardy plant, which I've carried over from last year, and it's been outdoors all this time, and it's not died. So I've got that fresh salad soon.
I have to read this out from Johnny Dick. My real question is, how the hell did he learn so much about all this? Seems like a lifetime worth of knowledge, but he sounds pretty young. What's up with that, huh? There you go. You sound very young.
Oh, thank you very so much. No, I'm not that young. Well, my history. When I was about a young lad, when I was about 3, 4 years old, my great uncle, my father's mother. Sorry, I'll start that again. I got that the wrong way around. My great uncle, which was my grand's brother, he took me to his garden and was showing me how to grow things from a very early age. It was nice to have, looking back now, it was so nice to have a person with so much knowledge guiding me from such a young age, which is what I do with my young children now. I had them in the greenhouse the other day, my 3 children, and we were planting broad beans and leeks and this giant Swiss chard. So start them young. When you get them started off young, it doesn't. You don't lose it. You just it stays with you forever. It's like riding a bike. Oh, Daphne said his soil's just coming up. Is that from last year or is that this year's?
One of the things that you mentioned about slugs and that, this is why I'm so interested in what Andrew's doing with the indoor growing. Andrew, what have you had the most fun growing so far this year? And if you were going to suggest someone get started on something that was quite easy, what would it be? Oh, it's from seed.
And what are you most looking forward to growing?
Well done.
Yeah, so your favourite thing so far and what you're most looking forward to growing this year?
I think peppermint. Peppermint or radishes are the things I'm most excited to grow. The chives I've had a lot of fun with because I can actually eat them.
I was about to say, have you added them to an omelette or something?
No, what I do is jacket potato and tuna. So get the tuna, mix it up with some mayonnaise, about a tablespoon of mayonnaise, bit of salt, and then chop up some chives and put them in that. And that's really nice.
Sounds amazing. Jordan loves mayo.
But
it's not as bad as behaviour, let me tell you.
I think the microgreens have been an interesting thing to do. The radishes, I had some fantastic results with them. They just kept on going on and on and on, eating them for days on everything. But yeah, but it's been a bit downhill with them recently. Everything else I've tried with them, I've had to throw them away. So I'm not going to give up with it. I'd like to try a few different things out. But
how did you get on with the fenugreek that you were growing, Andrew? was that a success or was that just?
I think I over-egged it and put way too much in, and it just ended up like growing over itself and all that. So I ended up slinging that, but I've got some more seeds and I've got some more from that pack that I used. So I'm going to try it again and see what it's like. I'm also going to try growing the microgreens with soil as well. See if I can get some. See if I can actually get some better results with the chard and the beetroot microgreens, because they really failed in the seed sprouter.
I have a question from Ragnar regarding rock salt. Do we have any general kind of slug repellents that we could use aside from salt that you know of?
Yes. Yeah. You wouldn't want to use salt because the salt will eventually kill the plant that you're trying to protect. The best things you can buy is from a company called Growing Successfully. They have slug pellets that don't kill the hedgehog. So if the slug eats its eyes, the hedgehog won't die from eating the poisoned slug. Also, you can buy nematodes. Has anybody heard of those? Slug nematodes. So you buy like a small little pack. It looks like one of those little pre-sealed food packets that you get from the freezer, and inside there is like soil, and you tip this in. That's them. You tip them in, and they will just sit in the ground and then eventually eat the slugs, and they're amazing. You can also get them for snails as well. But they turn the slugs into like a mush. It's horrible to see.
And that's really good advice. Thank you. Yeah, slugs are a problem. And for me, it was snails last year, not so much slugs. But Jordan, you have issues with slugs, don't you?
Yes, but they're in my kitchen.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's not those funny looking green ones with the funny stripes down the sides of them, are they?
You mean like this sort here?
Ugh.
No, not quite. They're like, they look like they got tiger stripes down their body. They're like that's it down there in the right left hand side.
On the left hand side, where's the guy?
It's gone up now.
It was that. There it is.
It's at the top in the middle.
Oh, the leopard thing.
Yeah. Oh, they're horrible.
These manged things.
Is this why you're doing indoor gardening, Andrew? So you don't have to deal with the garden pests? Because they are awful, and they look awful.
Bloody horrible things.
They're fascinating to see, but you just don't want them in the house. They eat meat as well, and they eat other slugs, and they eat poo, and there are all sorts of horrible things they eat.
I didn't know that.
Oh, like I had needed another reason to hate them.
But we say not all slugs are bad. If you get the pure black one, there's a pure black slug that runs around the garden. I say slimes around the garden. They're actually not dangerous to your plants at all. They're actually all right. You don't want to kill those.
What do they eat?
They eat everything else that's decaying, but they don't touch the plants that are growing nicely.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Philip's Bear suggesting ducks like to eat them. So if everyone who has a slug problem just buy some ducks, you're good to go.
Yeah, John Enoch, he's right. Yeah, you can put copper piping around them. Yeah, they don't like copper.
There's that chat jumping again. Sorry about that. And Ragnar jumped again. And Ragnar says, what about the electronic things that repel slugs and snails? I'm not aware of these.
It don't really work. Work for cats. Don't work for a slug. Don't really work.
Give a slug a sausage, it will keep you amused for hours. I'm guessing so. I want to get back to indoor gardening, though. I've got a question for you both, because I'm starting to sort out my seedlings now. So Andrew's kind of doing the part that I'm at, which is where I'm growing things in pots on a windowsill. Is it important that you start off with seedlings indoors and then acclimatise them to the cooler temperatures? Or can most seeds from seedling go straight into the ground outside? What would your advice be? Is it purely to do with temperature?
Well, it depends on what you're growing. Like I said, the only things you want to be putting outside that are seedlings only come under the Brassica family at the moment. And then you've also got onions and shallots as well. They're the only things that you really want to put out. Leeks and garlic are the only other ones. Parsnips you can put out, but you want to put them under cloches just because of a late frosts. And same with carrots and beetroot. But apart from that, yeah, most of the things you can climatise in the daytime. You sort of take it out, leave it out in the daytime, and then bring it back in. Obviously, if it's sunny and warm, you don't want to put it out if it's cold and freezing and windy, because it'll damage it and kill it.
Okay, that's really helpful. And Andrew, I've got a question for you. You're growing seeds as microgreens. Can you take the seeds that they produce and grow those outside, do you know?
Well, the microgreen seeds, I'm assuming you can grow them to maturity as a normal plant. But maybe I'll give that a try. But you wouldn't. But with a microgreen, because you're cutting it off very early on in its life cycle, they're not gonna. They'll never get to the point where they start creating their own seeds.
So you'd have to use some of the original seeds to try the micro version and the adult version, then essentially. And from the same batch of seeds, they won't produce their own seeds once you've grown them, is what you're saying.
The microgreens ones won't. No.
Yeah. Okay.
One thing I would like to know is whether you can use normal seeds, that is not microgreen specific seeds, and use them as microgreens. I think you can. You just got to be careful that they're not treated at all, because you're cutting it off very early on in the life cycle. Any treatment that the seeds have had haven't got time to be flushed out of the plants if you're eating it.
Yeah, you're very right there, Andrew. That's why you would always want to buy organic and non-treated seeds.
How would you find that out? How would you find out that the pack of seeds isn't treated or is treated? Does it say?
Generally, most of what you buy in the shops have got a form of treatment on them. Some of them might just be liquid seaweed or something like that on our coating, just to encourage the root. But the rest of them, they might have all sorts of things on them, hormone rooting, all sorts of things that you might not want to put into your system.
All right. So, like Thomas and Morgan, for example, just out of the blue, or what is it, Mr. Fothergill?
Yeah,
are they more likely to be treated, or?
Thompsons are, yeah, definitely,
right.
Definitely.
And Hasdak is asking, have you ever used LED lighting? I know that Boudica had a massive range of seedlings in pots that she'd used a heat lamp to produce. Have either of you done that? And do you have any advice there?
I haven't, no.
Yeah, I have. I've grown tomatoes out of seed in my 2 grow rooms. I've also grown peppers. It's mainly the fruiting stuff, the salad stuff that I've grown in those 2 grow tents.
And just for anyone who doesn't know, do you want to explain what a cloche is? I've actually bought 2 plastic ones. I bought 2 last year, so I'm preparing for this spring. Do you want to explain? I suppose you could make them by hand, really, couldn't you? If you've got the right materials.
Yeah, all you need is a length of plastic, like you would a bit like a thicker clean film sort of stuff. Yeah, that's it. And then you just need wire to bend right over, and then just wrap it over. Yeah, you can do the dome ones. There's the dome ones. There's the expensive ones, like that little lantern down there. But I wouldn't go to that.
I did see something really interesting. I don't know whether or not this works, but it was one of those sort of tips and tricks for the garden. People are taking a large bottle, like Coke bottles or lemonade, cutting off the bottom, screwing the cap back on, and actually placing them over their seedlings.
Yeah, you can do that, but they only go up. They can't go out. That's the only issue with those. You don't get it's a good idea, but for a short-term basis, not for a long-term basis, because the plant has got enough space there to grow into.
Well, I was thinking more like, it's a short-term measure if, you get a late frost or something. Daffod is saying cling film as well. He agrees with you. Break the Silence says, have any of you honestly starved and been left with nothing? I think not. We're not talking about experience of starving. We're talking about the starvation that will come from the manufactured food crisis, and why it's better to be prepared than to sit there saying, well, damn, I wish someone had told me this was going to happen. This is all about survival and making sure that we don't get caught out. So yeah, no one's claiming, that we've been so poor that we've had to, dig through our own gardens to stay alive. But we don't know what the future holds. So there you go.
At the very least, a bit of self-reliance is always good.
Yeah.
Yes.
But back sorry.
Go on, sorry, Jonathan.
I was going to say, back in the Second World War, people were digging up their front gardens and back gardens just to put in veg, so they could survive.
Absolutely.
Because there was a shortage of everything.
I would also add as well, if you want to be a valued member of your community and be able to rely on people and have them rely on you, the best way to do that, as Jonathan told me, very wise words indeed, is be useful. If you are able to produce food that even is in excess of what you need, then you can start giving it to your neighbours. So all of these things are really useful, and we're really trying to promote this idea that we don't have to rely on other people to get by, or at least we can make the first steps to being self-reliant. And then that's what builds a community. If everyone in the community is self-reliant, they can all start helping each other when the proverbial hits the fan. And if you want to be valued in your community, you must behave as though you have value. And that means doing things for others, even things that cost you next to nothing. Like I mentioned, my tomato seeds earlier in the show. The original 5 seeds cost me, I don't know, like £1.50. I've got 200 seeds from those 5 plants, and I planted them late as well. It's my first time, and I could give each of my neighbours like 10 seeds, and they could share those seeds out with other people. And those seeds that I've collected have cost me nothing, but it still is something nice to share with your neighbours, and it still gets people into this mindset that the more I can provide for myself, the less I'm dependent on other people to keep me going when things get tough. It might be a tomato plant this year. Next year it could be, 20 or 30 vegetables. Could be an orchard. It's a mindset that we're trying to create.
Well, just think of this then. So if everybody did some sort of vegetables in their back garden, I mean, a whole neighbourhood. If I've got a glut of something, I can pass it to them. They've got a glut of something, they can pass it to me. So we all win at the end of the day.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what happens with my next door's rhubarb.
Yeah.
For some reason, they grow rhubarb, they hate it. So they just give it out to friends and family.
That's where it must begin. This is what community used to be. That you didn't wait for someone to be on their knees struggling. You check in on them and you'd see what they needed. And, people would turn up with things that they think you need. And hopefully, if they know you well enough, they know what you need long before it gets to any point where survival is on the table. But being useful in your community just means doing nice things for people, and it really doesn't have to cost you anything at all.
Yeah.
You can if you're baking your own bread, you could drop an extra loaf of bread off to a neighbour, someone who's maybe infirmed, who can't get out very often. If it's a large family and the parents are struggling, 1 loaf of bread a week isn't going to last. If it's maybe an old couple, you could start popping in some rolls or something, or a cake, or it doesn't matter what it is. If you do nice things for people, they will remember that nice thing. And when the time comes for them to give something back, they will remember you. And that's how good relationships with your neighbours begin. So,
I'm forever, like last year, I'm forever giving I had a massive glut of pears last year, and I was giving them away. I was giving them away to my neighbours because I had too many, and I couldn't store them. You can't store pears very well. They just don't store very well. So, and we could only eat so many, so we gave them away.
Eat more. I love pears. I would have been in heaven.
Oh, pear, yeah. But then my mum's also got a massive pear tree in her garden. I've got a pear tree in my garden. We just have so many pears. It's just unbelievably amount of pears.
Ragnar says, John next door dropped me in pears. I gave him beetroot and parsnips, then he appeared with tomatoes. That's how it begins.
Yeah, that's it. Brilliant. So it should continue.
It's a really good idea. I think Andrew's neighbours are certainly going to grow to love radishes, aren't they, Andrew? and mushrooms. I am really looking forward to the next microgreen edition. I find it fascinating that I think the one thing I got from your microgreens more than anything was that because they were adolescent plants, all the flavour was concentrated into these smaller plants, which of course take up a lot less space. But you've only worked with vegetables so far. Is there any kind of fruit that you could use?
I don't think so, actually.
That would be
not as a
interesting.
microgreen. Not really. They're just tiny baby plants.
Or herbs. I know you've spoken about herbs as well. Is it possible to do with herbs?
Herbs you can, yeah. The parsley and the chives and the basil, you can do that. You can eat them. Like the ones that I've got now, I could eat them if I wanted, but it takes ages.
If I wanted.
But it takes ages for them to get to that point that it's not really worth it as a microgreen. Compare that to radishes, where I put some out yesterday morning, and they're already started germinating about 3 hours later.
Wow.
A few of them starting to split, and they'll be ready in 6 days from the moment that I put water on them. So.
We've definitely. So if someone really likes radishes, they're like triffids. The moment Andrew starts them off, they're just tons of radishes. I really like the idea of things like. I know you said it's really difficult to grow fruit from seeds, Jonathan, didn't you?
Yeah,
So
it's especially for pears and apples. They will never grow true from seed.
I'm wondering what else you could grow then as a micro version, for the indoor. Well, I suppose you could grow anything indoors technically, because you can start most seeds off indoors. I'm just wondering if there's a way for you to. I don't know. I expect Andrew's going to have some hybrid mixes coming up this year. I dread to think what they are. It's going to be like Dr. Frankenstein. What do you think? Just I'll try a bit of this and a bit of that.
What are you talking about? Like food combination?
Yeah, just mixing them together like this hybrid. I don't know. I think it'd be quite exciting.
I've got some gherkin seeds. So I'm going to give them a bash. So we'll see what they're like, and we'll mix them with. Well, if I can, I'll have a ploughman's and I'll have homegrown gherkins.
Ooh, gherkins, lovely.
If I can pickle them, then that'll be good.
Oh well, pickling now.
I've just reminded myself. What I'd like to do is make my own chutneys or relishes with those prairie fire chilies, some radishes, some gherkins, and maybe find something else to whack in there. And just see what
sounds interesting.
Plum chutney is really bloody good.
I knew you were going to talk about plums. Now you started him off now, Andrew. But this would be really good. I was talking to Jonathan earlier and I asked him what the glass version, what the jar version of canning was. I said, it can't be jarring. It's like, no, it's jarring. So there you go. So canning is actually jarring if you're using glass, apparently. So I would love to see all of these ideas brought to fruition. People pickling their own vegetables, not fruits. Ugh. If anyone has pickled eggs, please don't send pictures, by the way. They are an abomination. I don't even know who thought that idea was good.
It was always a thing. Yeah, it's always a thing. When I used to go with my dad to being a young lad, I wasn't allowed a beer, so I had a half a shandy, a packet of crisps, and a pickled egg. Yeah, I just can't eat eggs now. I just can't eat pickled eggs. This is like, ugh.
The worst thing ever. Who decided that was a good idea?
I don't know.
Right, I've got a few comments I want to read out before I pass it back again. Right, Linda Hunter said, I offered to prune my neighbour's roses, but she wasn't having it. I might do a night raid. We know nothing. Okay. Bazooka Joe says, plums and damsons grow very well. But Says, remember to leave some things over winter to flower early to get more seeds like carrots and other 2-year cycle things. We've covered that already, but yes, very good advice. Butt to Butt goes on to say, yeah, fruit is cultivars. You have to graft to a healthy rod system. I have seen it's where you split them and you kind of tie it to something else, right?
Yeah, you need a rootstock to start that off.
Okay. And there was last one I wanted to. Johnny Dip says we could build a factory like Willy Wonka's factory, all full of fruits and vegetables and casseroles or something. I don't know. It started out so confident, Johnny, and then you kind of faded off at the end. This comment from Donning Armour I wanted to read out. If you have a neighbour with a fruit tree, just ask if you can snip a small twig or branch off and clone it.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. Yeah.
Ragnar says, do you guys start seeds off from wet kitchen roll or straight into soil? Again, as Jonathan's mentioned, we'll have to put this list up on the Discord. It does depend on the time of year. All of my seeds literally start in small pots. And then once they reach seedling stage, I start to acclimatise them to weather outside. I'm no expert, though, so I'm going to pass it back to the lads. Do you start them off from wet kitchen roll or straight into soil? Or have I just answered that?
You have sort of, and it will depend upon the seed, on the plant that you've grown. Generally, it is straight into soil for most things. Windowsill, if they need the heat inside in the windowsill this time of year, so they get a bit of warmth and start off, or some like broad beans, you can start off in a cold frame, or you directly into the ground. Maybe you put a cloche over the top if you want to, but you don't really need to.
Nice.
But then again, it's all down to the variety of seed, so on and so forth. But if anybody's got any other questions, you're welcome to ask me.
Bazooka Joe says, which fruit trees are the best to pot outside? Oh, sorry, best in a pot outside. Apologies.
So that would be your citrus ones. So you can move them into somewhere warm over the winter. You can protect them. But you can grow most fruit trees in pots. But I prefer them in the ground. If you haven't got the space, you can always do espalier. So you can grow them, train them up, and then train them out across. So a bit like a cross, but a leveled cross. So you've got it come up, first level comes out, and then you've got another 6 inches, and then 2 more come straight out on the side. Nothing goes left or right. It just goes. Everything goes left and right. Nothing goes back to front. If you see what I mean. So they're flat.
Gotcha. Okay, that's brilliant. I think we're going to wrap up there. I hope people have been taking notes. When we do the next This Is Why We Dig, we're going to carry on with some of these topics. So if you have any questions that you haven't been able to ask this evening, make a note of them, please. It's been so great having Andrew and Jonathan join us. We really, really, really want to make this a regular thing. So if you've really enjoyed the show, please give us a like. Turn up for the next one. I think we're going to do the show during high season. I call it high season. I just made that word up. But essentially between spring and the end of autumn, we're going to try and maybe do the show once a month or once a fortnight. And it will be on a Thursday. So mark that one in your diary. Thank you, everyone, for your wonderful contributions to the chat, the questions, comments. Thank you, Andrew. And thank you, Jonathan. And we will be back as usual tomorrow at 7:30. Take care, all.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.